U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday he opposed renegotiating the U.S. China trade deal. His comments came after the Global Times, a Chinese state-run newspaper, reported some government advisors in Beijing were considering invalidating the agreement and negotiating a new deal to tilt the scales more to the Chinese side.
China's been taking advantage of the United States for many, many years, for decades, because we had people at this position right here where I'm standing, sitting right in that office, the Oval Office, that allowed that to happen. No, I'm not interested in that. Let's see if they live up to the deal that they signed.
Trump himself has considered abandoning the deal, which he signed in January to ease a trade war he started with Beijing 2 years ago. Under the deal, Beijing pledged to buy at least $200 billion in additional U.S. goods over 2 years, while Washington agreed to roll back tariffs on Chinese goods in stages. But rising U.S. China tensions over the global health crisis have cast the deal into doubt. Last week, Trump blamed China for the crisis again, calling it, quote, the worst attack the United States has ever faced.
We've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this. And it should have never happened. Could have been stopped at the source. Could have been stopped in China. It should have been stopped right at the source. And it wasn't.
The Global Times said repeated attacks from the United States have ignited a, quote, tsunami of anger among Chinese trade insiders after China made compromises in phase 1 of the trade deal. A trade advisor to the Chinese government told the newspaper that the U.S., quote, cannot afford to restart the trade war with China, citing the weakening U.S. economy and upcoming presidential election. Meanwhile, a former White House trade advisor in the U.S. China negotiations said China had so far followed through on provisions, including new rules to protect intellectual property, and that it was too soon to give up on the deal.